In the heart of Umuzo, a village wrapped in hills and ancient baobab trees, lived a young woman named Ada, whose mouth often ran faster than her thoughts. She was known for her wit, her beauty, and above all, her boldness. Her laughter echoed through the dusty markets, and her words, often clever, often cruel, left bruises in places no one could see. Ada was the type to speak first and never apologize later. To many, she was fearless. To the elders, she was dangerous. Ada had grown up with a silver tongue. Even as a child, she out-argued grown men and mocked customs she considered outdated. She had no patience for stories of spirits, rituals, or sacred silences. If these spirits are real, she'd once said, why do they need humans to speak for them? Her friends would laugh nervously, unsure whether to agree or hush her, but Ada never hushed. Her voice was her power, and she wielded it like a knife. It was during the festival of Uzo, a time when the villagers honored their ancestors and thanked the spirits for rain and harvest, that Ada crossed an invisible line. The festival was held in the central clearing, beneath the old iroko tree, where a carved stone shrine stood. Said to be the mouth through which spirits listened, everyone wore white, drums played slow, steady rhythms. Even the air felt sacred, heavy with palm oil smoke and ancient chants. When the chief priest stepped forward, his face chalked in white, his arms lifted toward the sky, the village grew silent. Children sat on mats, elders swayed in prayer. But Ada, standing at the edge of the circle with her friends, couldn't help herself. With a smirk, she leaned in and whispered just loud enough, "These spirits must be lazy. All this noise, and still my mother's roof leaks. Maybe I should be the one answering prayers." Her voice sliced through the reverence like a stone through water. The drumming faltered, the wind stopped. The priest froze, his hands still mid-air. A baby began to cry. Ada blinked, caught between laughter and confusion. No one spoke, but all eyes turned to her, not with anger, but fear. Not for her words, but for what might come next. That night, Ada's sleep was restless. In her dreams, she wandered a forest filled with shifting shadows and whispering winds. The trees wept sap like blood. A faceless woman in white followed her, saying nothing, only pointing toward the shrine. Then came a voice deep, layered, not quite human, whispering, "You have mocked the ears that listen. Let us see what silence feels like." She woke up gasping, sweat-soaked, her throat dry, her room cold despite the humid night. When she opened her mouth to call for her mother, nothing came out. Not a cough, not a whisper, not even a scream. Panic flooded her chest. She ran outside, tears streaking her face. Her mother cried out at the sight of her flailing arms and voiceless mouth. The neighbors gathered, some clutched charms. Others whispered prayers. The air around Ada felt heavy, as though even sound itself refused to touch her. The villagers summoned Mama Nena, the oldest living priestess, an elder so revered she hadn't stepped beyond her compound in 5 full seasons. When she arrived, it was as though the air itself paused, carried in a throne-like woven chair by 4 silent boys. She sat upright, wrapped in white. Her braided gray hair glittered with cowries, and though her eyes were cloudy with age, they burned with ancestral knowing. When she faced Ada, she didn't ask what had happened. She simply said, with a voice like distant thunder, "The tongue that disrespects the sky must walk barefoot on the earth." Her words were calm, but they rang like a verdict. "You have mocked the ancestors. They have sealed your lips." The only remedy, Mama Nena declared, was a path not of punishment, but of repentance. Ada would have to seek out every person she had wounded with her sharp tongue, those she mocked for limping, those she shamed for stuttering, the ones she ridiculed for poverty, grief, or silence. One by one, she must find them. At each doorstep, barefoot and voiceless, she was to kneel in dust, bow her head, and offer silent apology. No food, no voice, no rest for 7 days. And so it began. Ada, who once walked through the village with perfume trailing behind her and laughter like firecrackers, now moved slowly, draped in humility. Her feet gathered dust, her hair held ashes. She wept as she touched the hands of the people she once scorned. Some forgave her with quiet grace. Others shut their doors before her bowed head. But she returned the next morning, each time humbler than before. On the fourth day, rain fell, cold, relentless. She slipped in the mud outside the blacksmith's hut, her white wrapper stained brown, but she rose and knelt again. On the sixth, a little boy she once mocked for bedwetting approached with wide eyes and placed a warm piece of roasted yam into her hand. He smiled, she cried. Finally, on the seventh day, as the sun dipped low, Ada sat beneath the great iroko tree where her downfall had begun. Her body trembled with exhaustion, her knees raw, her heart emptied of pride. The air shifted. A sudden wind swept through the clearing, stirring the fallen leaves into a spiral dance. Somewhere far off, a single drumbeat echoed low and deep. And then she coughed. Once, twice, her voice returned. Not as it was before. No longer sharp, boastful, or biting, but soft, raspy, and full of reflection. A stream no longer rushing to wound, but flowing with purpose. From that day on, Ada spoke with care. Her laughter was warm, her silences deep. Children sat at her feet to hear her tell the story of her silence and the wisdom it brought. They called her Ada Nwanyu Cheda Ada, the girl who remembers. And in Yumiso, her tale became a thread in every child's teaching. For in that village, the tongue is not just flesh, it is sacred, a gift from the ancestors, but if misused, it will be taken. Sometimes by silence, sometimes by shame. And if the gods are merciful, given back as wisdom. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today, because some stories are meant to be passed on.